What is up, everybody? We are back again. It is your boys at Franchise Tag Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, please be sure to give us a subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, follow us on Twitter, and we are in it. Today, we are covering 24 through 13 on our wide receiver rankings. Boys, how do you feel about these?
Much better than I did about the running backs. I look, running backs are always a crapshoot after the top 10. Really, there's always going to be a couple guys that sneak in, a couple guys that fell out because they got hurt. But the receivers, that's my bread and butter. That's where we're here with me.
Though?
There's no Matt Jenkins in the comments.
Is it? There's the AJ Brown #1 overall. I remember that.
It was a year early.
Hashtag remember. He didn't finish #1 overall last year either.
But I bet you were thinking it when he was going bananas in Philadelphia.
He was getting close. What about you, Brendan? I know I went back and forth personally. How did you go?
I've gone back and forth. I think after 12, it got a little I can see myself moving players. Like I just moved another player up today after looking into it, after doing my notes. I was like, he's actually pretty lower, but I want to say it's more difficult after 20. After 20, it gets really hard.
I was about to say, I think 15 to about 27 for me is
because any of those guys can jump up and you wouldn't be surprised. So yeah.
It's like Ray said, all it takes is 2 big games from AJ Brown and then from one of these type of players. Exactly. It's like these other type of players are they go from 32 to 17 and it's man, that's a big jump.
Yeah. I have a good question for you guys when we get to it. And I think that this is something I've been seeing on TikTok, some things I've been seeing on Twitter, but maybe let's bring it up right now. Would you rather have right now Jay Jettis or Jamar Chase?
Are we talking fantasy or real life?
Let's talk real life. If
I were a real life team owner or GM?
Why does that matter? Just a team.
I think I'd still have Justin Jefferson.
I think I want Jamar Chase. I just want to be different. I want Jamar Chase.
Man. I don't blame you for wanting Jamar Chase, though.
It's like splitting hairs. I think Jay Jettis just because out of the 2 years we've seen from Jamar and 3 years we've seen from Jay Jettis ain't been injured. Jamar Chase has already had a hip problem.
Let me ask you this. Has there been a cornerback that's given Jamar Chase a problem, though? I can't recall Jamar Chase. I'm being honest. I can't remember a cornerback giving Jamar Chase really big problems.
He also doesn't play Jair Alexander 2 years and 2 times a year.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Though, but he has played against good corners. Obviously, Baltimore has him and everything else like that. So I don't recall Jamar Chase being locked up. Justin Jefferson got locked up against Jair Alexander.
Well, the second time this past year, but week 1 of the 2022 NFL season, Jay Jettis went off because Joe Barry's an idiot. But anyways, just neither here nor there.
Jair didn't travel with him. That doesn't matter. But I just wanted to ask a question because I've been seeing it a lot, and I think
Joey Porter Jr. locks down Jamar Chase.
Really? You guys could, while you guys are still here, please hit
not the
comments.
First game.
Let us know who you guys would rather have between Jamar Chase or Jay Jettis. And this is
Matt
real
Jenkins,
life.
if you're out there, let me hear what you think about that Joey Porter Jr. take.
So funny, twice in one show. Aaron, what do you got for us today?
So, guys, today we can hit one piece of news. The big one that came out 2 days ago, I think, Brendan, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Vikings are expected to cut Dalvin Cook by the June 1st deadline.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's expected.
2 days ago. It's been talked about. Obviously, he was in the trade rumors of wanting to go to Miami and stuff like that. Now, I think it kind of solidifies it that he will be let go. I think a lot of people are going to be very interested to see where he goes. If you guys had to pick where he goes, you think Dallas? Mm-hmm. What about you?
Because Tony Pollard probably won't be back for the very beginning of the year. I can see that.
I don't know. He wants to go to Miami really badly. He's from Miami. Or he's not from the I think I don't know if he's from Miami, but he's obviously wanted to get traded there. But
he did go to Florida State, so he is from South Florida.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think. He probably wants to go to a contender because it's probably his last year. So I'm trying to think in the top. You know what? I think a really interesting spot would be Cincinnati if Joe Mixon gets cut too.
That is true. I don't think it's gonna be his last year. I think he's gonna pull the Melvin Gordon type role where he sticks around or Latavius Murray in some lesser role for the next
lesser money
4 years, where it's I'm gonna bounce around from team to team every offseason.
And just ruins people's fantasy outlooks the whole time.
Yep.
Now, I would like to bring up a couple other pieces of news that I just heard. This is just hearsay, rumors, could happen, could not happen. But Kareem Hunt has been kind of, I guess, linked to Denver. That would be crazy with Javonte. I've seen it a couple times now. And I've also seen Zeke to Tampa Bay.
It's gross, and that's gross.
They have not signed anywhere. They haven't. There's nothing official, but I have heard whispers in the bush.
Kareem Hunt's more of an for Javonte than it would be for, I think you said Zeke to Tampa Bay.
I mean, it would end Rashad White's.
I think Rashad White's still fine, even if Zeke signs there. But I think Kareem Hunt going to Denver would be more scary for Javonte owners.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying, Rashad White. If you were thinking about taking him as your 0 RB late flying running back, I would probably pivot at that point. I just wanted to bring it up if that happened. I don't know if it's going to or not, but it definitely raised an eyebrow when I saw it, when I seen it.
Could you imagine how many more Super Bowls the Chiefs would have won if Kareem Hunt wouldn't have done what he did and got cut?
Or if Frank Clark wasn't offsides against the Patriots?
Or if they wouldn't have won so many if Kevin King would have just been able to cover some guy that was slow.
Or if, technically, to be fair, they lost that one to the Bucks. So
yeah, not going for 2 is very interesting in that situation.
Let's get into the rankings, guys. Let's get into the rankings. Let's do that.
So Ray is over us today. Let's get into the rankings. Ray, do you want to play some background music in this one?
Sure, I guess.
Give a little fill.
Sure.
Give a little fill.
You want the same background music we had before?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's play something.
Do that.
Just turn it down low. Turn it down low. So as we talked about, guys, we are going to go over the franchise tagged fantasy football podcast wide receiver rankings. Obviously, way too early because no news has come out, but we're going 24 through 13. Leave us in the comments who you think number 24 is going to be. I'm going to pause for about 5 seconds to just talk. Let me know who you think number 24 is going to be. And if you think we're dumb in our rankings, please be sure to let us know.
I would love to hear
it.
shirts about this.
Would love to hear it. So turn it down just a little bit more, Ray.
Got it.
Thank you. Number 24. Can everybody guess who it is? Let me click on the screen.
Well, I know.
Can everybody guess who it is outside of us? It is Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy comes in at number 24. I have him right at 24. Brennan, where do you have him?
I have 23.
Ray?
Jerry Jeudy for me is outside of the top 24 at 26.
Oh, okay. So we're kind of all right around there. Obviously, everyone's like, oh, no, what are you doing? They picked up his 5th-year option for a reason. Russell Wilson can't be as big of a trash can as he was last year, right?
He can. He absolutely can, and most likely will.
So if that's the case, then he still goes 67 for 9, 72, and 6.
Look, I'm just not
Pretty good.
interested in Jerry Jeudy. I'm not. I'm off the train now. I'm off.
Hey, so I mean, let's be fair. He averaged 13.61 points a game in fantasy last season. He was wide receiver 22. So Denver as a whole was just awful, right? We can all agree on that. But there were some bright spots in this team, and Jeudy was one of them. I mean, Russell Wilson was awful almost 90% of the season, but Jeudy still managed, again, like you guys just said, 67, 972, and 6 touchdowns. Over the last 6 games, though, when it all broke out, he had 523 yards. A lot of people, including myself, thought Sutton would be the one for this team, but Sutton just hasn't came back to his old self after he tore his ACL early in 2020. But like you alluded to, Aaron, they picked up his 5th year. And with Sean Payton taking over play calling, I can see Jeudy as a long-term option. I think he's clearly the Broncos wide receiver 1. And I think along with others, I'm assuming Payton will just simplify the offense for Mr. Russell Wilson.
Hopefully they'll simplify it for Russell Wilson because if we get the Russell Wilson of last year, it's a sell on everything Denver.
Yeah. Does Marvin Mims scare you guys at all?
I'm all out.
Marvin Mims scare me for who? For Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, the newly drafted from Sean Payton.
No, rookie wide receivers typically don't really, unless you have the offensive rookie of the year potential, which I don't see that happening in this Denver offense, even with Sean Payton, because obviously Jerry Jeudy is solidified as what we consider the number 1 this early, and 2, I think Tim Patrick will get more run than most people think. Marvin Mims doesn't scare me this year, but I'm hoping he'll have a year to break out next year that you can get late in drafts.
Fair.
Anything, Raymond?
Nope, that's it. Let's move on.
Number 23, we have Scary Terry McLaurin. I have Terry McLaurin at 25 in my rankings. Brennan?
I have Mr. Terry at 22.
Ray?
I've got him at 25, and it pains me. It pains me so much, but I do not believe in Sam Howell. And I understand that he's been doing it with absolute trash cans at quarterback. I feel like Sam Howell is either the smallest trash can or the biggest trash can. Whatever one that you say is the worst trash can size.
I think a dumpster is bigger than a trash can. I think a dumpster is worse.
Which one is worse than the other? It's more like, what do you want? I just don't like the quarterback situation. I do believe that Jahan Dotson takes another step, so that kind of eats away at whatever Terry McLaurin was going to be anyway. And it just pains me. Why couldn't they just trade him? Why?
I mean, look at he averaged 13.47 points and was wide receiver 14 last season. So even all of what he's going through with the dumpster fire at quarterbacks, he still puts up numbers. I mean, I agree. Can they get this guy a quarterback? But I think they're doing the right thing this season. I think they're tanking properly. They're going to go with Sam Howell, and if he sucks, they're going to roll with him. Then they're going to get a top pick, and next year's quarterback class is really good. So good for them. I think regardless, Terry finished, regardless of what you see, he finished with 77, almost 1,200 yards and 5 TDs, which was a career best in yards. So it did help that Jahan Dotson turned it around at the end of the year, so give him more looks, but could also face a problem in a sense there's only one ball, and the Commanders do have weapons in Dotson and Samuel.
But I don't think he averaged 15.5 yards per catch. I don't think that he averages that with Sam Howell.
No, I don't think so.
If this year, if he goes, he's not getting 120 targets. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't think that passing offense is going to be that. And as Ray alluded to, I think Jahan Dotson eats into him. So I would say roughly I would 85 to 95 conservatively with probably 65 receptions.
I take the over on the targets. I think he gets over 100 targets still.
I don't think so. I think Jahan Dotson is going to be super involved.
Fair. They had a high draft capital in him, so.
And Sam Howell will be more prone to tuck and run, even though, yes, technically he's not a rookie anymore, but it'll be his first year starting.
Yeah.
I want to point out that, yes, he was a high draft capital asset, Jahan Dotson, but I don't necessarily think he was supposed to go in the first round. I think Commanders had him rated a lot higher than everybody else did. And I can say right now, I wasn't big on him coming out of college. He was one of my very few rookie receiver misses that I can remember. And I'm all in on Jahan Dotson if he was on another team. If he was on any other team, I'd be like, let's get some of that. Let's get some of those shares, please.
Let me ask you, they signed Jacoby Brissett. So if Jacoby Brissett starts week 5, obviously he did well with Amari Cooper. Do you think it helps him?
No.
Moving it? No.
Jacoby Brissett had one outlier of half the season with Amari Cooper when we saw him in Indy and he couldn't do jack diddly.
I can see where you're getting at here, Brennan. I just don't like if they went with Sam Howell. I don't like Terry McLaurin that much this season. If they went Jacoby, if he's the full-time starter, I think I can move Terry into the top 24. I think I can make it work. But outside of that, no.
So if we get Trash Can Russell from last year and we get Sam Howell and they act accordingly of how we think that they're going to act, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton will still finish around the top 24, but you don't know what weeks you're going to play them, and that doesn't help you for fantasy. That's my point of the whole argument. So super inconsistent.
Spent a long time on number 23.
We did. So number 22, Mike Williams. Mike Williams is number 22. I have Mike Williams at 27.
I have him at 20.
I've got him at 20 as well, and I feel like I'm a kind of low because I've been the Mike Williams truther since day one. But he can't stay healthy, and his injury risk is built into my ranking.
I don't know. For me, it's like he put up 13.58 points. He was a wide receiver 32 last season. This man's career has honestly been disappointing. Besides the 2021 season, he's just been in that good but not amazing category, so to speak. Again, he's missed some times, like Gray just alluded to. And the Chargers were hoping he would step up in that time, but it's just been a letdown. He can't get separation, so he's not drawing that attention you would hope as a wide receiver 1 would. And they just drafted a similar prospect of him and Quentin Johnson. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Johnson's going to be a threat to him, but if Johnson comes to his own in the season, Williams will be taking a back seat.
Aaron, you were raising your eyebrows. Please allude.
You said you have him at 20 and his injury is baked into that ranking.
Yes.
You literally have proof from last year that the injury baked into that ranking is a ceiling of 22. Or
That's what I'm saying. Like
32, excuse me, not 22, 32.
And yeah, he missed a lot of time. And
he's missed a lot of time the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that.
If he stays more healthy, he can get
he's
much
not
higher
going
than
to,
22.
Right?
If he can.
He's too big of a body. As Brendan said, he gets no separation, so he goes up for all the jump balls. Yes, he can make freaky athletic catches, but he goes up for the jump balls and comes down. It's like, oh no, my butt cheek, I'm out 3 weeks.
Or you break your back right before the playoffs and you cost your team the playoffs.
Look, do you want to get caught holding the bag when he plays 14 games this season and finishes in the top 15? I don't.
It's a possibility with that.
Top 14.
It is absolutely is.
Games.
It's a possibility with Justin Herbert being the quarterback. I think the ceiling is high for him if he can put it together when he's fully healthy. I think that's why I have.
Yeah, Mike Williams' talent is elite.
I disagree, and I trust the injury history more than the showing out. So we ready to move on?
Sure.
There.
Number 21, new Chicago Bears wide receiver, DJ Moore. I have DJ Moore at 20. Brendan?
I have him at 25.
Okay.
I had 21.
Okay. So you and I are pretty close. Brendan's outlier on this one. He averaged 11.71 fantasy points per game last year. Just like Terry McLaurin, with the abysmal quarterback play that he's had for the entire time that he's been in Carolina.
Yeah. This man is an example of talent doesn't mean production. He had a career high in touchdowns last season, which was always his knock on him, and that was with the likes of Baker and Darnold being his quarterback. He's now in Chicago with one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league, and they were the team with the lowest amount of passes. He does have a supporting cast around him finally with Mooney, Kmet, and Claypool. He should lead the team in targets, but will it be enough to, regards to fantasy production? Because at the end of the day, volume is king in my opinion. So that's why I have him outside of my wide receiver 2 rankings as 25.
Go ahead.
I like Justin Fields. I think he takes a step here. I am hoping he takes a step here. I think the offense is more tailored towards his actual attributes. And because of that, DJ Moore will, in my opinion, be a receiver 2. But I think I have him as a ceiling, honestly. I wouldn't be comfortable with him as my receiver 2, and that's it going into a season in redraft.
No, I agree. I'm trying to watch him fall down the draft board and take him as a flex.
Flex.
Yeah. I agree. I think I do have him at ceiling, but as we said earlier, alluding to this, Brennan, we're like 17 or 20 through like 35. It's kind of like
the jumble.
Yeah, got to go back and forth. But I agree with you, Ray. I do think Justin Fields is a little more accurate than he gets credit for. So I think he'll be the number 1 target in that offense.
He was throwing to nobody. He was throwing to beans. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
So number 20, guys, we have, sorry, I tabbed out. We have Deebo Samuel at number 20. I have Deebo Samuel at 21 in my rankings. Brendan, where do you have him?
I have him at 19. I had him a little higher though before this. I told you guys I tinkered it. I think I had him originally at 18.
Okay, Ray?
I got him at 22.
Okay. So we're all kind of around the same thing. I don't think Deebo gets to do what he did in that offense now that CMC is there and going to be there for a full offseason and the whole season. So, and quarterback situation kind of hurts a little bit.
That's what's got me. The quarterback situation kind of scares me a little bit. Out of all of the receiver projections we have at receiver 2, I think Deebo should be the most safe. He should, but
I mean, he finished at wide receiver 40 last year. After finishing at wide receiver 2 and getting everyone hyped.
He's another person that gets hurt a lot, and that offense is not going to be the same without Purdy in it or Garoppolo. That was all tailor-made for Garoppolo specifically, and Purdy did it just better.
Yeah, because Garoppolo is
mediocre.
So for me, I mean, he's probably one of the bigger disappointments last year in fantasy after coming off one of the most impressive years in 2021 with over 1,400 yards and 365 rushing yards with a total of 14 touchdowns. I think people have a little bit of salt in his mouth because he missed the most important part of the fantasy season, which was the fantasy playoffs, week 15 through 17.
It's only
and like you guys alluded to. Yeah, and you guys alluded to it. He's another knock on him is which is his health. He's missed 15 games in the past 4 seasons. I think we all have him this high because we still know that his ceiling when he gets the ball, it's just electric. You know, he's the definition of high risk, high reward going into the next season. But let me ask you guys, would you guys have him higher or lower depending on the quarterback that the 49ers roll out with next season?
If Purdy rolls out next season, I'm going to probably have him 3 to 5 spots higher.
Okay. Ray?
I'm going to have him right where he's at because I believe that Brandon Ayuk is the true number 1 there.
Okay. And if Trey Lance is there, do you move him down? Nope.
Nope.
What about you, Aaron? You move him down more?
No, just because of the Shanahan system. It's like a Sean Payton system. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit your drops. Look at your target. If it's there, take it. If not, you check down to somewhere else.
Fair enough.
To Ray's point, I have Ayuk at 28, so I have him at 21 in my Deebo at 21 in my rankings, and Ayuk at 28. So I have them pretty close together.
I have Ayuk at 28 as well, actually.
Hey, you're muted.
I have him at 28 as well.
Hey, we're there. All right. So next up at number 19, we have the one and only, the hamstring king, Keenan Allen. I know it's taking a shot at Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen, but once again, these dudes that you see at the bottom, they all kind of have a little bit of the same knock, right? 24 and up, they all get a little hurt or they have bad quarterback play. Mainly just hurt. But I have Keenan Allen at 17. Brendan, where do you have him at?
I have Keenan at, let me see, 21.
Raymond.
I got him at 18.
Hey, 17, 18, 21. All right. So realistically, he's getting older. He's going to be 31 this year, I think. 29, 31. I can't remember.
He's in his 30s, I believe.
I do believe he's going to be 31 this year. He finished as wide receiver 42 last year. Once again, he missed like 6 weeks due to the hamstring, right?
Yeah. So what happened was he got hurt week 1, missed all the way to week 7, tried playing a game right before the bye week, which a lot of people, including myself, was silly.
So stupid.
Just to take the extra week off to fully heal. Got hurt again, and then in the first half, missed another 2 weeks, was finally back on the field week 11. But again, when he plays, he's the definition of consistency. One of the best pure route runners in the NFL. He's your prototypical wide receiver too. He's always got a safe floor, averages right around 7 catches, 75 yards a game.
Yep, he's your PPR machine. Average. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you up, but when Keenan Allen was healthy last season, he was a receiver 3.
Yeah, and he averaged. That's my point. He averaged 16.4 points last year. He had 89 targets, 66 receptions, 752 yards, 4 touchdowns in basically half of the season.
Yeah.
So, a little less than half of the season because he came back like week 10, right?
It sure was a little less than half of the season. I can very vividly remember.
I know because you traded for him when he was hurt and it bit you in the butt.
He just never got back. I was waiting to come back.
That's not enough for Keenan. If he stays healthy, he's an elite wide receiver too.
I can see his volume increase though with Kellen Moore being the play caller too.
I can too. I can see Mike Williams too, but my main knock on the Chargers wide receivers are they cannot stay on the football field. And then when it comes to Josh Palmer and he gets to step up into that role, he doesn't do it. So
you're not wrong.
So all right, at number 18, guys, we have the one, the only DeAndre Hopkins. He's been good through bad quarterback play his entire career. I have DeAndre Hopkins at 16. Brendan, you have him where?
I originally had him, I think, at 19, but I moved him all the way up to 16 today. I went through it. He was the one guy I tinkered with.
Okay, Ray?
I wanted to move him up more. I have him at 19 as well, like where you had him. But I didn't want to change anything just because I don't want to mess with any of the what we got. But I do believe he finishes higher than when I have him. But I do have him at 19.
Yep. So he finished as wide receiver 47 last year. That's even with the 6-game suspension. And when he came back, he was averaging 16.86 fantasy points per game. He ended the season after missing 6 weeks, ended the season 96 targets, 64 receptions, 717 yards, only 3 touchdowns. That's also a product of Kyler getting hurt like 4 weeks after he got back.
Yeah, those numbers he put up were in a matter of 8 games. He got injured in the first quarter of week 16 against the Bucs, so I don't count that game against him. But again, averages 10 targets along with 80 yards a game. I will gladly take those numbers any day of the week, and I think I had it, like I said, too low in my opinion, in my rankings. I understand that Kyle will be gone for the beginning of the season and that there are other options in Arizona, but D-Hop is still playing at elite level, and I still think he's number 1 there no matter what.
I think D Hop's one of those guys that when it comes to the draft, and if he falls to you, and you're like, oh crap, do I go between? Because like in best ball right now, it's like, do I go between DJ Moore, Mike Williams, D Hop? Those are like the kind of 3 wide receivers in that area. Who are you taking out of those? I'm taking D Hop every time.
I'm taking D Hop. I'm not thinking twice.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm in the mindset of I think D Hop full season, even with bad quarterback play. We saw it in Houston. We've seen it in Arizona with Colt McCoy. He can do what he needs to do. I do think he'll finish higher than this, honestly. But with D Hop, it's like with Julio, you're drafting him where you think you're getting value up until obviously the Julio dropped off really quick. But I'm going to be holding the bag with D Hop per se.
Well, like you just said, like out of those 3, we have D Hop. We have, you said, who was it? D Hop, Mike Dubs, and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, yep.
Can we all agree that D Hop is the one that could potentially win you the league?
Yep. Can agree. D Hop's the one you can take in the 3rd or 4th round right now, and he could end up finishing as a top 5 wide receiver. So
That's it.
That's the only one out of that category. That's it. Number 17. This should be a Jaguars jersey with the number 0 on it. This is Calvin Ridley. I have Calvin Ridley at 19 in my rankings.
I have him at 18.
Yeah, I have him at 17. I'm definitely the highest. That's for sure.
I think I had him at 17 before this too.
17, 18, 19 is we're all right there.
Yeah.
We're all right there.
Well, he's finally back, and he's in a better spot with being in the offense with one of the better up-and-coming quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence. I need people to remember, though, the last full season was in 2020, and he put up to 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. So
that was with Julio too, right?
Julio and Matt Ryan being quarterback, yes.
Yep. Okay.
I think you'll see some field rust, but before he went through all that mental hurdles and the gambling suspension, the guy was a top 5 receiver in the league. So I think, it's a gamble pick with him right now. I think that's where everyone still has him at.
Yeah. He's a little bit older too. So
29 years old, yeah.
Yeah, he came out older in college. But I mean, I could see him finishing top 12 with Trevor Lawrence. I could.
Yeah, I could easily see him being a wide receiver 1 this season. What about you, Ray?
I think that I do have him a little low, but I also think there's a lot of mouths to feed out in Jacksonville right now. And I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be spreading the ball around a lot more than what I would like to see out of my potential receiver 1, because he's going to have
as a newly adopted Jacksonville Jaguars Duval fan from last year because of my wife. You. My wife is from basically Jacksonville, Florida. All right.
Terrible.
So chill. When you looked at it, Ray, they needed more mouths to feed in that offense last year because it was basically Trevor Lawrence to Christian Kirk or Travis Etienne breaking a run, or occasionally Marvin Jones would make a decent sized play.
And Zay Jones.
But they need that other consistent. If literally, I think Calvin Ridley eats into Marvin Jones and Zay Jones, and it's Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk.
Well, just remember Marvin Jones and Zay Jones are gone, so that's 202 targets gone.
I thought Zay Jones was still there.
No, he's gone.
Oh, that is true. So see, he already replaced them, and they weren't even on the same football field. So my point is just solidified even more. And honestly, I don't think it eats too much into that offense because Evan Ingram, I think, will still be good because literally Calvin Ridley will end up getting majority of the targets that went to Marvin Jones and Zay Jones, like I was kind of saying.
So for you guys, who do you think's a higher ceiling of winning you a league, Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins?
This year I would say Calvin Ridley. Just because you know you have the consistent quarterback play.
Honest to God, it depends on where you got him. Last season, if you wouldn't have got DeAndre Hopkins in the 8th, he helped you a hell of a lot because you got an already set team.
I think Calvin Ridley's like a
1 coming back.
4th round.
He was not in the 4th round. He was in the 8th round last season because of
I'm saying I think Calvin Ridley this year is in the 4th round.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you got, let's say Calvin Ridley in the 6th, that's going to be nice, real nice. If you had to spend up and get him in the 3rd, I don't think it's going to help you as much. And that's what I'm saying is like, it depends on where you get him, really.
Yeah, that's fair. Number 16, guys, we have Devonta Smith. It kind of lags out sometimes. I have Devonta at 15.
I have him at 17.
I've got him at 16.
Okay. He averaged 14.98 fantasy points per game. He had 136 targets last year.
It's insane.
95 receptions, 1,196 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Can we agree this dude was probably the most quiet wide receiver one in the league, only because the dude opposite of him was just having an even better season, and Smith had a great season himself. Like, it's just crazy. Like, finishing as wide receiver 9. For those concerned about target disparity, by the way, he finished with 8 less targets than AJ Brown. So
that's that AJ Brown effect, though. That's it. He's that guy. I'll die on that hill. AJ Brown is one of the best receivers in the NFL. Ben said it since the day he came in the league.
I'm not sure about you guys. I can never get myself to draft the wide receiver 2 in the offense as high as him, and Higgins goes. But for some reason, I'm a believer in Waddle. I just can't explain it. I don't know why. He'll be there, and there'll be other wide receivers. I just won't take him. I
had him and Waddle last year.
Oh, you must have loved yourself then all season long. So
just different leagues, but
yeah,
I was happy about it.
Yeah,
I can see what you're talking about, because like I feel much better about having T. Higgins than I do about having Devonta Smith. Yeah, it makes no sense.
I think a lot of people feel a lot better about having T. Higgins than they do Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle.
Jalen, I view as a tier higher than either one of them, but I don't understand the disparity that I have mentally between Devonta Smith and T. Higgins.
I think it's I think it's because, like you said, because
I think it's more so like I look at Devonta Smith and like Calvin Ridley. It's like I obviously have Devonta Smith higher than Calvin Ridley, but like if I sit there in a draft in like a money league and just like I can just see myself taking Calvin Ridley more. And my rankings show the opposite.
You think it's because of the ceiling though?
Yeah, I think more so. I think just because I know AJ Brown is the one. I think that's why. And it's like I know that Calvin Ridley could be the one, even though Devonta Smith's got a very safe floor. Clearly,
yeah, he does. But I mean, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. Like, what the hell are we even talking about? You know what I mean? So, number 15, DK Metcalf. I have DK at 18 in my rankings. Sorry, it took me a minute to find him.
I have him at 15.
I have him at 14.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
So he finished with 13.28 points per game when he finished as the wide receiver 16. I would say most of the world, including myself, were all down on the entire Seattle offense when they traded Russell, but the trade ended up being a blessing for Seattle, and DK didn't have his best season with Geno, but put up respectable numbers in that offense. That's what I have for him, but I think for the most part, but the numbers, I mean, so when I see him, it's like he's a complete mismatch on the field, right? I think we all say that with size and speed, just a ridiculous combo. I still get mad at Pete for not getting in the ball more, but the numbers surprisingly tell me I'm wrong, because Geno's more efficient when throwing to Lockett and other players on the team, which is kind of surprising.
DK's got to learn to keep his cool, too. He gets thrown out of too many games.
I mean, when you're that big, right, trying to throw hands with anybody, you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could probably back it up, but at the same time, you ain't doing your team no good if you're getting thrown out in third quarter game in Green Bay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I was one of those people that was kind of off on DK and the whole offense, because we saw what Geno was in New York. We saw what Geno was previous to him going to Seattle. And
I don't think it's fair to rate players off of how they were as a Jet.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Jets are cursed,
and that's what I'm trying to allude to. Maybe Geno wasn't a bad quarterback. Maybe the situation was awful where he was at, but maybe that ship has already sailed for Geno, because they went and they gave him only a 2-year deal. They didn't give him like a,
That's also too because Geno's 34 years old and he's kind of on the back half of his career.
Maybe, but I think another year in the system, another year working with Geno, DK is going to have a nice season this season, and I'd hate to rate him lower and him being that top 10, because he can.
He's 32. I lied. He's not 34.
It's a little over 30.
Yeah.
Let me guess.
Think about it this way: he's our age.
It comes to the conclusion that maybe he's not an elite wide receiver. We all think he is, but merely just a very good receiver with physical gifts. Do you guys agree with that, or you guys disagree with that?
I can agree with that.
That's where I'm at. Is he's a very good receiver with the most elite gifts in the NFL,
but just not elite wide receiver.
But not an elite. He can't put it all together.
He's an above average wide receiver.
He can't put it all together as Jay Jettas or Devontae or Tyreek. But I bet if he raced Tyreek in a foot race, he'd be damn close to him. I bet if You know, if he went to go and jump ball for like a high point of ball, I don't know anybody else is going to go up and get it better than he can.
No.
He has elite intangibles.
That's fair. That is fair. I remember he got a lot of shit because his rookie year all he ran was basically 9 routes, posts, and corners.
Routes can be taught.
Number 14, guys, we just alluded to him earlier. We have T. Higgy. He is no longer number 85 for Cincinnati Bengals. He is now number 5 this year for the Cincinnati Bengals. So if you're like, hey, who's number 5 running around the field? It is T. Higgins. I have T. Higgins at 14. This is the spot I have him at. Brennan, where do you have him?
14.
Raymond.
15.
Hey, we're all kind of right there. He finished 2022 with 13.13 fantasy points per game and finished as wide receiver 18. He had 109 targets, 74 receptions, 1,029 yards, and 7 touchdowns. A little hard to score more touchdowns when Jamar Chase is on the opposite side of the field.
This dude's a very reliable wide receiver 2 in the league with the bigger ceiling than most just because of the offense that Joe Burrow provides to the Bengals. Last season was frustrating for Higgins owners in some aspects because I do recall there were games where he was fully suited up but didn't get a single look, and he was just there for pure distraction for his counterpart. So that was the most frustrating thing owning T. Higgins last year, is that he literally played games and did not do anything. He was just there to be, I'm just here.
There was a game he wasn't even supposed to be in.
Yeah, going through his game log.
That's also true. Oh, so I mean, as we alluded to, I mean, it's just Jamar Chase is on the other side. What do you want? He's going to be wide receiver 2. It's just that's the ceiling with when you have a generational talent lined up opposite of you. But he did state this year he wants to get a deal done with Cincinnati. He wants to be back in Cincinnati. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He likes the team. He likes being there. He doesn't mind being the number 2, even though he could go be and make wide receiver 1 money on a different team. So,
I think he's going to make wide receiver 1 money regardless being in Cincinnati because he can get paid that and somewhere else in the market. So
it's true. So, Ray, anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'm a big T. Higgy guy, so
I like T. Higgy. Last but not least, boys, for today, we have Amari Cooper. As some people like to say, Amari Pooper. I'm not about that life, though. I have Amari Cooper at number 12.
I have him at 13.
I got him at 12.
Okay. He finished with 14.53 fantasy points per game last year, finished as the wide receiver 10, had 132 targets, 78 receptions, 1,160 yards on 9 touchdowns. I do think Deshaun Watson has gotten the rust off of him and will take a step forward this year. So this is why I have him still finishing inside of the top 12, amongst others.
He was one of the more surprising players in fantasy last year. Everyone counted him out, and he ended up doing what he typically does. He had better numbers with Brissett, though, as his quarterback than Watson. When Watson took over, he finished as wide receiver 54, 57, 44, 31. He finished as wide receiver 3 once, had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and lastly, 52. So I think going into the next season, though, the only real threat to his targets would be Elijah Moore. And I think most people expect him to have a bigger season following the comments of the head coach wanting to watch him throw the ball, 60 times a game or something like that. Something crazy.
It's Kevin Stefanski, and he's like, I want to throw the ball. So the crazy thing, too, is Deshaun Watson got back week 13, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he had better stats with Jacoby Brissett. Nick Chubb had 12 rushing touchdowns in the first 12 weeks of the season, then had 0 from there on out when Deshaun Watson came back. The offense as a whole was better with Jacoby, I agree. But like I said, I do think that's part of, hey, we just paid this dude $200 and however many $1 million guaranteed. He's going to be on the field. Yeah. So I do think he does take a step forard this year. After they've already
he's got nowhere to go but up after that abysmal 6 games he played, 5 games.
It's true. Yeah, and he hadn't played in almost
a year and a half.
So
yeah.
It's going to take a little time. And I think with a full off season, you've seen Deshaun Watson hold a receiver 1 and a receiver 2. So I think Elijah Moore might be one of those guys that sneak into this top 24.
I could see Elijah Moore being like the Jarvis Landry of back in the day, where he just eats the targets up.
Or like king.
How he, not necessarily in the same breath, but how he was able to support Will Fuller as a receiver 2 while he was in
with D-Hop. Houston. That is true.
Yeah.
And D-Hop was there as a receiver 1. I can see that relationship, not necessarily the same skill set or, I'm just saying that he is supported 2 receivers, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I agree. Flashback. Remember when Will Fuller just came out on fire and turns out he was on steroids?
Whatever happened
Sometimes
to
you
him?
gotta be
He's,
steroid.
he
Yeah.
signed
He
with
went-
Miami, right? And
He
then
signed a
just-
1-year deal with Miami and never came back. It was
Yeah,
the
it's
year after
crazy.
the steroids incident.
Crazy.
So that pretty much wraps it up for us on this one. Anything else on Amari Cooper?
I have nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nope.
All right. Oop, that's the wrong screen. All right, boys. Well, we will just kind of wrap it up here. And next episode will be 12 through 1. So please tune in next time if you are interested in seeing our rankings for that. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of comments to say about this one. But as always, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the thumbs up so the videos gain traction in the algorithm. And you can argue with more people in the comments. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Join our Discord. Go to Driffle Jerky and use code franchise tag for 10% off your order. But until next time, we'll see you